secrets that lie, and you've got the faith that I could bring paradise.
I'll forgive and forget before I'm paralyzed. Do I have to keep up the pace to keep you satisfied?
Things have gotten closer to the sun, and I've done things in small doses. So don't think that I'm pushing you away when you're the one that I've kept closest.
You don't move slow and taking steps in my direction. The sounds echo. Does it lessen your affection? No.
You say I'm foolish for pushing this aside, but not at home. I wanna leave alive.
Glassy as a mountain to the sea. I wish the tide would take me over. I've been down on my knees,
And you just keep on getting closer.
glassy as a
Getting closer to the sun,
I
and
wish
I've
the
done
tide
things
would
in
take me
small
over.
doses. So don't
I've been
think that
down
I'm
on
pushing
my
you
knees,
away when
and you
you're the
just keep
one that
on
I've
getting
kept closest. Go slow, go slow, whoa. Go slow, go slow, whoa. Go slow.
What's up, guys? It's Rooster Grooves. I'm Jesse. Sitting across from me is Jay Purcell, as always, the founder of Signl Radio. How are you doing, Jay?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Doing good. Hyped to be here. We're talking about the XX.
The XX, or is it just XX? No, it's the XX.
I did research for XXX.
Oh,
There wasn't a lot of music.
just a lot of different websites that you
A
were
lot of
representing.
websites.
Such and such dot XXX. Yeah. No, but you did research the right band in the end.
I think so. Sometimes we have trouble finding the same band, but not this week.
Yeah.
We're talking about the XX indie rock band from Wandsworth, London. Mm-hmm. It's a trio.
Mm-hmm.
3 peeps in the band, started in like 2005.
Yeah.
Coming onto the scene. Didn't release their first album until 2009.
Yeah.
It's distinct and minimalist, you know,
Yeah.
really kind of stark dynamics,
Yeah.
really soft and chill.
Yeah.
But like that first song, they got a little rock energy.
Yeah.
But it's very, what are your thoughts on the style of music?
Brooding, moody,
Mm-hmm.
atmospheric, minimal. They have a lot of great, it's stripped back music with a lot of great
Mm-hmm.
melodies and sort of like indie-ish kind of
Mm-hmm.
riffs, but mixed in with like the electronica, which is crazy.
Totally.
I think it's probably the best way to describe them. But they're very unique sound. I don't think there's anyone that really captures that same
Mm-hmm.
vibe. There's like lots of similar-ish groups. But they've really somehow nailed this really unique sound, which I think is what people praise and hail them for. Like, especially coming out of the gate with the debut album. Yeah,
Couldn't have said it better myself.
yeah.
One of the features of them is the dual vocals between there's a woman vocal and a male vocal, and they often just switch back and forth almost on every song.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of kind of duet type things.
So we got Romy Madley is the female singer, right?
Cool, yeah.
And she plays guitar as well. Oliver Sim, also on vocals, and he plays bass.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Jamie XX, who is on production, electronics, MPC, all that stuff. Yeah. They did actually start out with another member who was on the first album as well. Baria Qureshi, who played keyboards and guitar, but she left them during the first tour and release of the first album. And I guess we'll talk about it a little bit later, but it has this weird vibe to me, that situation, because it doesn't really sound mutual.
Okay, yeah.
From the things I got. I mean, they've officially said some things that made it sound mutual, but I don't know.
They're just being polite.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of a vibe off of that.
Okay.
I don't know.
We'll get into it a little bit. But moody, soulful indie rock.
Yeah.
So these guys are pretty cool. They got like 4 albums out total.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Let's play another track.
Yeah.
I guess what else we got?
Well, let's do this track VCR, right?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
You used to have all the answers, and you still have them too. And we live half in the daytime, and we live half at night. Watch things on VCRs with me and talk about big love. I think we're superstars. You say you think we are the best thing, but you just know. You just do.
Wanna find myself by the sea, in another's company, by the sea. Wanna go out to the pier, gonna dive and have no fear, because you just know, you just do. Watch things on VCRs with me and talking about big love. I think we're superstars. You say you think we are the best thing, but you just know, you just do.
VCR by the XX on Signal on Roots to Grooves from their debut album XX.
Yeah.
The XX is who we're talking about tonight, out of London, UK, 3-piece. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like you said, VCR. I think that was one of the first songs they recorded, at least for that album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a little fun fact.
A little fun fact.
So let's dive into the early life of these guys. Where'd they come from?
Yeah.
Who were they? The early stuff that I know real quick is that Rami and Oliver knew each other as far back as being 2 years old.
Right.
Playing in the sandbox.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. Meeting in the sand pit.
So they've been together their whole life.
Pretty much.
Not together. They're friends, I believe. They're not dating or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But platonically, they've been together for more or less their whole life, which is pretty cool.
And that's crazy. So they must have gone to like elementary school together. Well, actually, they met. They called it like play school or kindergarten, right?
Right. I heard a word. It was a nursery, or no? That's where they met Jamie, maybe.
No, I think they met Jamie later on in high school, the Elliott School.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I think Jamie met Oliver first. It was kind of like he described it as a, I don't know if you do this over here, but like when you kind of visit the school to audit it to see if it's somewhere you want to go, and the parents come along and you meet all the teachers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember stuff like that, I think.
Yeah, and so Jamie like saw Oliver there at that time and saw that he was doing artwork and he did some really cool drawing or something, and he just said, yeah, Jamie just said, like, this guy seems like a really cool guy. So
Nice.
they just got, you know, that instinctual things, like, these are good people. I'm going to get along and go well with this guy kind of thing. So
yeah, just very natural.
Yeah.
Very organic.
Yeah.
I guess it seems like based on their interviews, what I was reading, they all kind of were friends, but like Jamie and Oliver were friends on their own. Mm-hmm. And then Rami and Jamie were friends on their own.
Yeah.
And then they would all hang out together as well.
Yeah.
As they're kind of, just jumping around through their adolescence years.
Yeah.
I know like Rami and Jamie, I think their thing was like skating around London.
Yeah.
Like skateboards.
And listening to, watching a lot of like skater videos. You know,
Yeah, totally.
A lot of people made videos back then and set like Portishead and Mazzy Star as the soundtrack kind of thing. And they were sort of into that. That was a good little era, I think, I remember back in the day. That's how a lot of some of that Rage Against the Machine, like that little bit hip hop rock stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, good stuff on those videos, man. And they're not always official, right? I think sometimes they're just, someone slaps them together or something.
Yeah, I think that's a whole scene in itself.
I still see people around Seattle filming on like old like VHS cameras.
Yeah.
Like, skateboarding and stuff.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's a whole, like, the skateboarding scene is, the music industry and the skateboarding scene meet in the middle.
Yeah.
With where the music and video collide.
Right.
Because skaters are always trying to make videos of them skating and doing tricks and stuff.
Yeah.
And then musicians are always trying to get their music out there.
Yeah.
And everybody loves vibes.
Yeah.
When a good music goes with good video,
Yeah.
everybody loves it.
Definitely.
And so all these things, these cool creative things meet in the middle, from skateboarding, videography, music production.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of skaters have gotten involved in this kind of creation thing. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And it's very casual, and there's just a lot of kids doing that still today.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's still a thing.
Yeah.
People like to do. Oh, it's cool though. But yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Make a video with your friends doing some silly tricks.
Right.
Wear your helmets, kids.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
And so the Elliott School, a school in Putney in London. They all went there. I think it's a high school. Apparently, a lot of crazy famous people went to the same school at different times, not at the same time as the XX. Members of Hot Chip.
Okay.
Fortet, the guy that is Fortet. Pierce Brosnan.
Okay. Pierce.
Peter Green, founder of Fleetwood Mac.
Okay. Wow.
And Burial. I don't know if you know Burial, but he's like sort of dark electronic music producer. Very
Not familiar.
mysterious. He never does any interviews. I think there's like maybe 2 photos of him out there in the world or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I think the XX have sort of downplayed the influence of the school on them musically, basically saying they had no impact on them doing their thing.
Do you think it did?
I don't think it did, no. Well, I mean, other than the fact of them all meeting there and going through their teenage years whilst being there.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think like the teachers or the fact that these various musical luminaries went there really had an impact. It doesn't seem. That's what they've said.
Coincidental.
Yeah. Coincidental, yeah. But yeah, and so I think it was like they just started making music really early on, right? Like on 8 tracks, like in their living room, mostly like Romy and Oliver, right?
So they were just getting into it.
Yeah.
Like I said, kind of part of the skate scene, and they got into the music thing, and like, let's try to make some music.
Yeah.
I think they started doing some cover music,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
cover songs. I think they did a Wham cover.
Yeah, Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. I think
Okay,
was
yeah,
that.
one of the good ones. Yeah. So like kind of more fun songs. Like they weren't taking it very seriously. Like, let's make the XX music.
Yeah.
So they were just like, let's have fun. Let's do some cover songs of stuff that we really jive with.
Yeah, yeah.
And they did, and they had a great time.
Yeah.
And through that experience, they started creating their own music.
Yeah,
Is that about right?
That's what I get. And yeahs. Keep saying yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But there's another
Yeah.
group that they did covers for of Pixies as well. Another
Nice,
group.
classic.
But yeah, I mean, that's always a really good way, I think, to learn music. And I think you could do that at any age, really. Even
Right.
like now, when you're like, feel like you're done it for a few years, maybe it's cool to just try and recreate a track.
Yeah.
I actually saw Polyphia. We did this a long time ago. I don't know if I mentioned it on the episode, but the main guy from Polyphia has this YouTube channel.
Tim.
Yeah, and he's like recreating songs but kind of showing you. He's doing the whole tutorial thing as well, and he really said that was like really valuable for him, learning arrangement and writing and how different textures can do different things. And you learn techniques, I think, as well from doing that. Like,
yeah, I think that's very valuable.
Yeah.
I remember recording some like Incubus songs.
Oh yeah.
Like just trying to match the production as close as I could.
Oh cool. Yeah.
And just like you said, it's just it's a fantastic learning opportunity.
Definitely.
That anybody can do. It's really fun and kind of a challenge.
Yeah.
Lot to learn.
Yeah.
So cool. So I guess they're making some music, and then they get some music done and they start posting it on MySpace.
Yeah, they were just like, let's just start on MySpace and
put it out.
Upload kind of demo quality stuff, for things. And I think it was original stuff, right? That they
yeah. So it was getting uploaded out into the world, and I think Oliver still has that stuff. He said, but he said he'll never release it.
Yeah, I think. So I've seen like a lot of different interviews with them throughout the years. Early on, they were very shy and quiet and awkward. I think that interview that you referenced that we saw them in, they're probably at their most comfortable now. More recently, because they've been doing press and PR for a long time, and I think they've even said it themselves. We have had to like intellectualize our music to explain it to people in interviews. But the funny thing is about how, because they were like teenagers when they did all of this stuff, and even the first album, like really, really young.
Yeah, like 16, 17 years old.
Yeah, and now I think they're like 20s, mid 20s, late 20s.
I mean, I think when they released their album, they were, like their later teens or maybe early 20s. Yeah. And now they're like late 20s, 30s.
Yeah. So like, they can go back and listen to like the album and kind of see they feel the teenagerness of it kind of thing.
Yeah, like in their voice. It's like, that sounds like they're so young.
Yeah, right.
Saying that about themselves.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, I don't know. A lot of my early stuff is hard to find now because it was like on cassettes and CDs and that.
Yeah.
So I'm not able to really go back. But when I have, it's different quality. Like obviously the shit I did was not released and didn't win a Mercury Music Prize. But if it had, I don't know, I would have been like weirded out by that.
Maybe you just got to release it, then you will win.
Yeah. In the archive retro stuff, but I do hear I hear the fun vibes in it. I remember recording certain things in like a lo-fi way and just how fun it was, kind of thing, and not taking it too seriously,
right?
Which is a cool thing. But anyway, digression. These guys,
the XX,
they're like pretty serious sounding though in the earlier songs, right? I don't know.
Right. Well, and we've heard 2 songs by them on this podcast so far.
Yeah.
And you hear that minimalist and you hear the vocals. And I think that one of the things they were thinking about when they were trying to create music was like they developed this minimal kind of attitude of production because they didn't want to create a big production where their voices couldn't back it up.
Yeah.
They knew they had these feelings and they were just trying to like express their emotions as teenagers. Yeah. And they wanted to show that and put it out just for themselves when they're making this music.
Yeah.
But they,
yeah. I mean, I think, so I'll say this first and then backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
But they were saying kind of like the stripped backness of this is by necessity rather than by design.
That's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, because they said they wanted. Yeah, like you said, there were like 2 things going on. One is they didn't want to create music that would like overpower their vocal abilities or the naturalness of what they were doing. So that's like one side of it. The other side of it is they wanted to create music that they could play live and reproduce, between 4 of them at the time because they started playing with 4. But yeah, if they like did too much shit on it, like with too many layers, that might have been a good recording, but it wouldn't have been able to recreate it live without,
Right.
you know. So yeah, it was by design, but it also created this sonic sort of palette aesthetic or whatever,
Right.
which is like minimal sounding,
Right.
but simple and to the point kind of thing. And that's kind of like sort of how it came about. And I think the backtracking thing I wanted to say is because actually like Jamie, I don't think was really part of the early days of making music with them.
That's right.
Like he knew them all, he hung out with them, but actually it was their label. They eventually got the attention of Beggars Banquet, I think the Beggars Group label.
Who owns Young Turks?
Yeah, and it was them that suggested getting Jamie XX involved, which is weird to me. It's like, because I think he was doing his own thing on the side. He was like, has always been a bedroom producer.
Right, he was making beats and stuff.
Yeah, and doing stuff with different people. And the label kind of knew of him as well. And they were like, why don't you work together? And they were like, oh, okay.
Sure.
But at the same time, so he kind of joined the group, started working with them, but they did have like other producers. I think there was a guy or a girl called Rodida McDonald.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know how to say your name better than you, but
It's a he, sorry, by the
Or
way.
he,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't know that from looking at the name, but I just saw that, Scottish producer. I think he was still involved like throughout it, but Jamie kind of like wanted to take a little bit more of a producer role within this music.
Right.
And,
Before he
yeah.
took that role, they asked him to be the drummer.
Right.
As I understand, right? Like, we need a drummer.
Oh, yeah, that's
Can you
right.
do that? Like live drums.
That's true. Yeah, so they were already doing shows actually, yeah.
At that point.
I think with three of them with Baria, the
That's
former
right.
member. Yeah, and then they asked him and he said no because
Yeah, he said he declined it.
he said he wasn't good enough, and he said it also didn't think it wouldn't fit like what they were doing. kind of
Right.
thing. Like, which is cool. That's stand by. I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit of shyness, anxiety there as well, but also stand by like, oh, this is sounding good. I don't want
to mess with the
to
formula
exactly.
working.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But when he came on board in like a production sense, I think he made this track, Nighttime, which came out on the album, and he said he made that track to prove to everyone, the band members, the label, that he could like produce,
Yeah.
like, stuff, and they all loved it, and yeah.
Yeah, so they,
worked for him.
it went
Yeah.
on the album. It was good.
Yeah.
He said, he just worked really hard on that, like put a lot of effort into it
Yeah.
to prove himself.
Yeah.
Which he did.
Yeah.
So cool.
And and I think they recorded all of this in Beggars Group, the Young Turks, the label. They had their own like small recording studio in a converted garage in their offices in London, and they think they did all of it there pretty much, like the final production, everything we hear. Apparently, it almost didn't happen because. The studio is kind of weird where it said they had a little window like in the control room that like looks from the office. So like
They call it like a little goldfish hole.
yeah, they called it like
window.
a goldfish window, yeah. So you could see the people working in the office and they could see you.
Yeah.
Which is a bit weird. But Jamie apparently was like working in there really late at night, finishing up some production things, and he looks through the window and he saw like someone with a mask, and he was like, wow.
Like a ski mask.
Yeah, and he rubbed his eyes like, it's pretty late here. I'm a little bit out of it. Maybe I'm just like hallucinating.
Like
or whatever.
real quick, he said he'd been working from like 9 p.m. to 9 a.m.
Right.
And this was at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly,
He's
yeah.
delirious, been just working on the music production.
Yeah, and apparently, I don't know if he went out into the office but he basically went out. I think he went out there, and then it was 3 people robbing the office. And they were all like holding computers,
Like
wearing ski
classic.
masks.
It's like a sitcom scene or something.
Yeah.
They're like, everyone stopped looking at each other.
Yeah, and apparently they saw him and they just left. They fled.
They ran away
with whatever they had managed to grab at that point.
Yeah.
Which is great. No confrontation happened there. He basically went back into the control room, barricaded themselves in there, and called the cops, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they kind of say he kind of saved the album, because if he hadn't have been there working on this, they probably would have come in and stole like the hard drives in the studio, and
that was the album.
and I guess they didn't back it up like on another drive or externally at that point. So yeah,
Yeah, that's a lesson I need to learn now from from this.
Man, I'm Dropbox all the way. If you can figure out, or it doesn't have to be Dropbox, it could be one of the other ones out there. But
we're sponsored by Dropbox, so use Dropbox.
in the cloud.
Yeah.
Keep it in the cloud.
Everything has a cloud now.
Because my computers always break as well. And it's like, okay, I can switch the computer out and still access my shit.
Planned obsolescence.
Yeah.
Everything's got a cloud and everything's got a password.
Yeah. Fingerprint, iris scan.
Everything's
whatever.
gate kept.
Yeah.
By these companies.
By the gatekeepers.
The gatekeepers of the world. But yeah, the XX. So we're talking about the 2009 album XX.
Yeah.
Their debut. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean to cut off the story. We're about at the end.
No,
is
it was
that right?
it. Yeah. He saved the album. They finished it. They released it.
And then now we're here.
Yeah.
So the XX. I mean, well, this one it's just called XX. No,
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just to be clear, 2009, and this was a really great album. Mm-hmm. This is what turned me on to XX. Mm-hmm. I remember listening to this in like 2010. Mm-hmm. I was just like getting done with high school, and it was good. Like I remember that first song we played at the top of the podcast is very good.
Yeah,
I still mess with that song.
Yeah.
It's just a good jam, very minimal, but I love the guitar and melodies.
Yeah.
But this album was very good, commercial and critical success. Hit number 3 on UK albums chart. Mm-hmm. They did win the Mercury Prize in 2010. It was ranked first on The Guardian's, it's a magazine, right? Periodical.
Newspaper.
The Guardian, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And second for NME's Best of the Year lists.
Right. Yeah.
So good stuff all the way around.
Yeah.
They just kind of hit a home run and they created this sound that a lot of people around the world vibed with.
Yeah.
And that propelled them to greater success.
Yeah, and a lot of hard work, a lot of shows, a lot of touring throughout this. I think they'd already been touring for like a year when they won the Mercury Music Prize, and I think it was like towards the end of their tour. So they weren't really able to celebrate it or realize the reality of that until they like finished their tour.
Right.
And then they were like, "Wow, we did all that."
That was dope.
Like 2-3 years of their life. But during that first tour, before they finished it, Baria left the group. I think the official reason at the time was exhaustion. And she left at I think before they were supposed to do a show, maybe not the day of, but like a few days before or something like that. And so Jamie had to like figure out how to fill in the blank spaces of the sound kind of thing. And they sort of praised his ability then to be kind of like multi-dexterous and switch between like live percussion, the MPC, some keyboards and that to like figure it out kind of thing. He always describes it as like he just got by. Like he doesn't really understand how he managed to finish the tour.
He seems like a talented guy who's just being humble.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's what it seems like.
He knows how to do his stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool. But I mean, that's good on him for being humble because we're all still students of our devices and instruments.
Yeah.
Still a lot to learn as you go,
no
matter how old you are, how wise or experienced.
Definitely. And the reason I sort of got the vibe from that, because it didn't seem like it was mutual. I don't know. Baria apparently is still working on music. Like she has an Instagram out there, and I checked that out, and she's got some posts of her like working in her like home studio set up kind of stuff. So I'd be interested to hear what she's doing and coming out with. But the rest of the members, have always said, she was an integral part to that first album and part of the whole experience and sound, and that's kind of should always be a part of it, sort of thing.
Right. And
she actually shared recently, I think it was an anniversary of that album, maybe 10 years or something like that, I'm going to say. Not
okay.
Longer. And she put up a post saying how proud she was of that album kind of thing. So
good for her. I mean, I don't know more than you do about the inner workings of that split.
No, yeah.
But it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Just for the story, the narrative.
Yeah.
In general, as an outside perspective, it's just like, man, it's hard to see a relationship break up.
Yeah, it could be like, the direction of the band as well. I don't know, like other groups like Massive Attack have notoriously always had this infighting and people have left because they disagree with the direction of the music and the image and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, there's so many things. It's hard to keep a band together, a group together.
Yeah.
If all have different sort of expectations or perceptions, and
It's a lot going on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the reason why
Yeah.
it's very cool to appreciate these bands who do these cool albums,
Yeah,
because they get it done and it's not easy.
yeah, definitely.
It's easy to take all this stuff for granted. Like, do I like that album? Nah, it's trash.
Right.
Like, do I like that one? It's all right, whatever. But like, these people are working very hard.
Yeah.
And forming real relationships and bonds with people in the real world.
Yeah,
And it's difficult work.
Yeah.
So it's impressive.
definitely.
That's all I got to say on my little soapbox. So, yeah. So they move on. They're touring a lot.
Yeah.
Qureshi left the group. Where are we going? Let's go to, I mean,
So, I mean, I think they tried to take a bit of a break, right, after the first album
they were
release.
they wanted a break.
Awards, touring, critical acclaim from the people, the folks out on the. I mean, they headlined their own tour, like on as part of all of this. And so, yeah, I think Oliver said, like, he thought he was going to take more of a break when he got back, but it didn't take him long again to start writing material, because he realized this is his passion, this is what he loves to do. And he couldn't go to that much longer without it, I think it's probably disorientating, though, to be on the tour and not really have your own personal day-to-day routine, and then to suddenly be back home after all that and be like, oh, I'm just going to go to the corner shop and buy some groceries and
Just
have a coffee.
and
I don't
walk
know
through the park.
what's happening. Yeah, I'm not getting on a tour bus tomorrow. I'm not going from city to city. Like
feed the ducks.
Feed the ducks, yeah. But yeah, I mean, and it's funny actually, because like their writing style, I don't know if they've changed it up. I think they might have started to change it up a little bit now, but they said they never wrote lyrics together, or music together in general. They would always like individually work on ideas and then share it with each other.
Okay.
And specifically with the lyrics, like Romy and Oliver don't ever talk about like the content or the meaning of each other's work. It's because I think the way they sort of write is they're writing from sort of observations or how they would react to, something that they've seen happen.
From their personal perspective.
Yeah, so it's like not always stuff that they've lived through or gone through, but stuff that there is that as well, but it's also stuff that they see, happening and be like, how would I react to that if I was in that situation, kind of thing. Living vicariously, I think, through writing these lyrics.
Right.
And the other thing about this as well is they said they never want to explain what their lyrics are about because, and I think Romy put this very well in an interview. She said that, because when fans come up to her and say like, oh, this song's really a lot, it meant this to me, kind of thing. She's like, that's great, She wants the music to mean something different to everyone, rather than applying a feeling for it, meaning to it, and
Just shove it down our throats.
Exactly,
How am I supposed to feel?
Yeah, because she said it's like a gift. It's like, and I think we've heard other artists talk about this. Like when you write it and release it into the world, it's a gift now. The meaning of that can be in the eye of the beholder, kind of, versus like. So that's why they don't like to try and explain anything about lyrics. They keep it very personal, yeah, to themselves as well. They don't really discuss it in the group either.
That's cool.
So
I mean, personal is a good word to describe their band vibe in general.
Yeah.
Like their music sounds personal. Like just the music.
Yeah.
All of it in general.
Yeah.
And then their lyrics are personal.
Yeah.
That's all I had to say.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, so they kind of took a little break, but then the momentum started kicking back up.
Yeah.
To the point where they did another album. And that album was called Coexist. 2012.
Yeah.
So not too much time in between, but this one also got very positive reviews.
Yeah.
It hit number 1 on the UK chart and number 5 on Billboard 200.
Well, yeah.
So again, they hit a home run. I don't think it has the same impact that the first record did. But when you do a record like that, first one that resonates that much, it's really hard to recreate it again.
Yeah.
Some bands never even get the chance to have that one album.
Right.
But these guys did, and then they have multiple albums after that.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of the albums match the level of that debut, but they're very good.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Do you have anything on that album?
Not particularly, but we have a track.
We're going to play Angles?
Yeah. Well,
Or Angels.
Angels.
My bad.
Yeah, here we go.
leaving without them. Being as in love with you as I am. Being as in love with you as I am. Being as in love with you as I am. Being as in love, 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 love. And with words unspoken, a silent devotion, I know you know what I mean. And the end is unknown, but I think I'm ready as long as you're with me. Being as in love with you as I am. Being as in love with you as I am. Being as in love with you as I am. Being as in love, love, love.
That was Angels from the XX's second album, Coexist, here on Roots to Grooves. Yeah, the only thing I know about that album is they created a whole music studio specifically just to make this album.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was like, it was in some place in London, kind of a building like this, different offices, rooms. And they said it was kind of like a photography studio. And they just went in there, moved all their gear in. They put like big, like I think black or red velvet curtains around the space to like, not just darken it, but like absorb the sound kind of thing. And yeah, they said it was really important for them to be able to like create like a space unlike the first place that was in a garage in a record in the, you know, label. They didn't have people coming and going that they didn't know and all that sort of stuff, you know. They could keep it very sort of private and work on the music themselves. And I think they said they spent a long time just only working between the three of them and not even sharing it to their managers or label until they felt that they were ready.
Nice.
That's one thing I think they talk about a lot is like they never want to put out anything that they don't really love.
Right.
Know? So there's no point in like even playing it to their manager or anyone if they're not digging it themselves, kind of thing. So
I like that style. Good for them.
Yeah. Especially when you have that big machinery going around you and the big success that you've just had. You don't want to like share something you're not into with like the label and then be like, that's great, that's going to be the first single.
Right. Yeah.
No, wait a minute.
No, I don't even like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, good album.
Yeah.
I wanted to tie up a few loose ends of the conversation we were having.
Yeah.
Because I had a couple notes down here. How you were talking about how they keep it very personal, and they want to keep it universal though.
Yeah.
So that everyone can think about the music and take what they want from it and feel what they want from it.
Yeah.
And extrapolate their own kind of ideas. And so they would stay away from even using pronouns in their lyrics.
Okay.
Which I thought was cool. So no he, she,
Right. Yeah.
they, them, like even, but more specifically like he's and she's, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because they don't even want it to be like gendered.
Right.
So they're like, I'm just reiterating what you already said, how they put a lot of effort into making it consciously universal.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool. And then I want to harken back to when they were teens. I have a quote when I think they were all around 14 or 15 years old. And I think, who was it? Sim. I think she was saying, I don't know, Jamie. Well, the quote is about Jamie. I'm sorry, everybody. Okay. I don't know how to organize my thoughts. But Jamie said, I'm at peace with the fact that I'm not going to make big waves in the world. And he's like, no, it's fine. I'm at peace with it. So I just think he's obviously very talented, but he was coming in with this humble energy.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Almost a little bit too much humble energy.
Jamie? Or
That's, yeah.
Yeah. Although he did have that moment of wanting to prove himself within the band. You know,
So he knew he could do it. He had the belief in himself.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of him for that.
Yeah.
But anyway, just wanted to throw that little colorful flourish to wrap up what we were talking about.
I think it's good that he's not someone that's just like going around like, yeah, I'm like the dopest producer you've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You know, and he's done some really cool solo stuff. Jamie XX. There's like some really crazy music videos out there as well for some of his tracks. Really, really beautifully over the top, high production value as well, which just adds to the whole thing of their stuff. But yeah, I mean, he's a solid producer, and I think he even produced a few tracks for Oliver's debut solo album, because that's kind of what they've been doing.
Well, yeah, that leads us right into that. In 2015, Smith's solo debut album came out.
Yeah.
Called In Color.
Yeah.
I didn't really listen to it.
I have not. I've maybe heard a few tracks a long time ago, but
I'm sure it's good.
yeah. And I think he did work with other people as well, and they were asked the question, is it weird, like, you know, you're in the XX, but now you're doing this track, you know, Jamie, you're producing this track for Oliver, and he did say, yeah, there is a little bit of, not weirdness, but like purposefully trying to do a little bit of a different approach than he would normally do, because it's not an XX project, it's, you know, something different.
Yeah,
so,
an opportunity to do something a little differently.
Yeah, and I think he was just kind of like thinking about more the fact that it's his solo album, how can I support that musically and react off of what he's doing, rather than being like, here are 20 beats, which one do you like, or whatever.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Here's how much each one costs.
Exactly. If you want the exclusive right, or do you want
other publishing rights,
30 other people to be releasing?
Yeah. So I already sold it 5 times.
Exactly.
Just this morning.
I've heard that a lot as well, actually. I think there's been some big controversies that have come up out of that in like the hip hop world, where I think there was like one producer that sold his track to some pretty big artist, and then he'd forgot that he'd like sent it to another big artist that also did something to it, and then he was like, oh shit.
I'm in trouble.
I think they both came out, and then there was controversy, and it was like, yeah.
He's like, I didn't do it. I didn't make that beat.
Exactly. But that's the thing though, like as a producer in certain things, like in the hip hop world, yeah, I mean, if you don't react fast enough to like, you know, getting a track, obtaining the rights or whatever, then, you know, if you like it as a producer, you're going to just sit on it? Like, I don't think so.
We were talking about another artist, and he was saying how like if you don't use the idea that you have right now, somebody else is going to use the idea.
Right.
I can't remember if it was like Michael Jackson or David Bowie or some artist, or an artist that we talked about on a podcast feature.
Yeah.
You know, but like you get an idea, like a spark, and you're like, I think it was Michael Jackson. Like talking about something, like you come up with an idea in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And he's like, let's go to the studio right now.
Right. Yeah.
You know, let's go right now. I need to make this track right now.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, I think it was Michael Jackson, because he was saying like, if I don't make this track tonight in the middle of the night, Prince is going to make it.
Like it's going to have the same kind of idea or something.
Yeah. Like, and some things work like that. Like, I think humans are channeling crazy energy from the ether that we don't understand, different dimensions and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a theory.
Yeah, man. I don't know what's going on. I just saw some pictures from the James Webb telescope today of the pillars of creation.
I saw those too.
I was like, okay, all right. I don't know what's going on in the world. And you see images like that.
Yeah.
Hundreds of light, thousands of light, millions of light years away. Yeah.
Yeah. No, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfathomable.
Yeah.
Good stuff. James Webb. Love it.
Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah.
So yes, these kind of years,
a
couple of years around 2015, I saw that the band drifted a little bit and didn't see each other too much. I'm sorry, what's his name? Oliver Sim.
Yeah.
He got sober.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So he got sober. Croft got engaged to her girlfriend. And I don't know, I guess maybe they're married now. I don't know though. But I guess that kind of caused some family bereavements.
What, within her family?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like I think because it's like a gay thing, and they're like, no, we don't like that.
No.
So it just caused some like turmoil.
Right.
As far as I saw. But I'm just commenting just for context and stuff.
Yeah.
And then that's when, Smith launched his solo album, and that came out around that time as well.
Right.
So they're keeping busy. They're doing stuff, did some life stuff.
Yeah.
They came back in 2017 with a new album, I See You. That one debuted to critical acclaim, peaked at #1 in the UK, #2 on billboards again.
Wow.
So good stuff. I don't think we have a track to play off that one.
We're from I See You.
Do we?
We do. We have a track
Oh,
called
let's play that bad boy then.
On Hold. All right.
Oh, this is a good track.
I don't blame you. We got carried away. I can't hold on to an empty space.
Now you found a new star to orbit. It could be love. I think you're too soon to call us old. When and where did we go cold? I thought I had you on hold, and every time I let you leave, I always saw you coming back to me. When and where did we go cold? I thought I had you on hold. I thought I had you on hold.
My young heart chose to believe we were destined. Young hearts only love, call it a lesson. The stars and the charts and the cards make sense only when we want them to. When I lie awake staring into space, I see a different view.
Now you found a new star to orbit. It could be love. I think you're too soon to call us so. When and where did we go cold? I thought I had you on hold, and every time I let you leave, I always saw you coming back to me. When and where did we go cold? I thought I had you on hold. I thought I had you on hold. I thought I had you on hold. And every time I let you leave, I always saw you coming back to me. When and where did we go cold? I thought I had you on hold. I thought I had you on hold. I thought I had you on hold.
On Hold from the XX from their most recent album, I See You, 2017, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell the evolution
Yeah, right?
in their sound. Yeah,
It just sounds pumped up a little bit.
yeah.
Like, what would you say? Almost a little bit more poppy.
Yeah.
I don't want to, not with a bad connotation, with a good connotation.
Yeah.
It still has the minimalist attitude.
Yeah,
It's still very minimal and chill.
Yeah.
And like kind of calm and intimate sounding.
yeah.
But this one has like a little bit of trappy kind of hi-hats.
Right. Yeah,
And then the sampled vocals.
yeah. Which I was trying to listen to it. I was trying to figure out if it came from somewhere else or whether like it was one of them and they just mashed it up. But
Yeah.
it sounds like it's from something else that was sampled or something like that.
That's my guess, but I can't tell either.
Yeah.
Hey, let us know if you guys got that info. I would love to know that fact.
Yeah. And I think the other thing to say, and probably like why the sort of there is a continuation of sound really a little bit in it, is because I think that Romy and Oliver write together. Like they write separately, but when they get together, they're just on vocals and guitar and bass, like, which is really interesting. So they're actually like running through these songs ideas that they have with no drums or anything, just guitar and bass. Like, and I think that's what has, like, because then they'll present that to Jamie, and then he'll kind of weave in some production ideas around that, you know. So I think like pretty much, I haven't listened to every single the XX song, but more often than not, there's guitar and bass in there, and then like the electronic production technique of Jamie's kind of thing.
Yeah. So,
because usually it's like two songwriters writing on acoustic guitars together, like John Lennon and Paul McCartney.
Right.
It's unusual to be like someone's on bass and then someone's on guitar doing that, I think. But
sure.
But it works for them, and that's cool because you know bass is it's a percussive instrument. Actually, it's like more of a it's a rhythm, right? That's what it's described as. So he's
100%.
Yeah.
Very good. So I mean, I like that track, and there's other good stuff on that album as well.
Yeah.
So props to them.
Yeah.
And let's real quick. I want to play a track that we had loaded up.
Oh yeah.
Intro.
Right.
Real quick, just a little
snippet.
A little snip, because I think almost everybody listening to this, 100%. If you have TikTok, you will recognize this.
Okay. All right. So is this a big TikToker thing now at the moment?
It's just one of the trending songs on TikTok.
Is it recently or? Like...
yeah, in the last year or so. I haven't heard it as much. I think it's past its prime.
Yeah.
But it had a huge moment.
Yeah.
It was just on every video.
Interesting.
You know, whatever. I don't know. Videos explaining different things. A million different things. People use it on all kinds of videos.
Okay. Yeah.
But for me, I don't know. I discovered that a little while ago.
Yeah.
And I just put it together. I was like, that's the XX. And that was on their original debut album.
Right.
And it just surprised me. I didn't know that.
It's a bit of an iconic track. I think they also like use it for like doing promos for like movies or TV show trailers and stuff
and
like
it
that.
is an instrumental track.
Yeah, yeah.
So it serves really well for that.
Yeah.
Even though they just released it as as music on their album, on their debut album.
First track, right? Intro.
Yeah, intro. Literally the first thing that anybody heard from them listening to the XX.
Yeah.
Came out over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And now it's even getting blown up on a modern app that wasn't around when they debuted their album.
That's like the funny thing. That happened recently with like that Kate Bush song that was used on Stranger Things.
Yeah, that's right.
Running up that hill.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because like, you know, everyone's like discovering it like it's brand new. And then you got all of these like Kate Bush fans in the corner. Like they're all like 40 years old now. It's like, we liked this in the 80s.
It's been good.
Like, it's been good.
We invented that.
You don't know about Kate Bush.
Yeah. It's all these kids.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's cool that it does get a resurgence.
Yeah, yeah.
And that like people get to experience something. There's a lot of music that we'll never get to experience like that. that we'll never even hear because it's underground now. It's buried.
Yeah, because if you think about it, I mean, you know, there are all the hits that have come out throughout the years that are still played today, karaoke, radio stations, whatever. But then within those periods, you've got music that is not played at all anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you're going out and seeking it out yourself. Like that's
Right.
the weird thing about like vinyl digging a little bit as well. Like there's all people that shop for vinyl for different reasons, but I've shopped for like trying to find samples and stuff like that. But then occasionally you come across like some weird obscure like rock album from some solo artist in the 70s, and he's like got, you know, denim everything, like denim jacket. He's got his acoustic guitar standing next to him. He's on a brick wall somewhere in Brooklyn or whatever.
Class.
You know? And you're just like, who the fuck is this guy? I don't know any of these. They're all original songs. But, you know, these people get lost in history. And it's like, I mean, to be fair, I can't remember the name. I'm talking about something specific I found, and there was actually nothing memorable sounding about his music. But it was like a 70s rock vibe still, you know.
Well, there's a lot of good music from back in these like decades, eras of music, 60s, 70s, 80s. And people remember like, oh, I love the 80s. Like, I wish I lived in that time. Like, that music was so cool, so good. Yeah. But the cream rises to the top, and we know the good stuff now. Yeah. There was a ton of bad stuff in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Bad stuff in the 70s. There's bad stuff all the time.
So I used to not like I was born in the 80s, but I used to not like 80s music for the longest time because to make like the drum sound, it went from like organic sounding drums to sounding like a drum machine. Like every song had this snare drum layered in reverb. And like I used to not like that. I think I've been beaten over the head now with too much like 80s revival music that I'm like, okay, fine, I like it. Put reverb on my snare drum.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. Because there's some bands like Duran Duran and all that. I was like, why are they a Spandau Ballet? I'm like, how are they a band? Their drums sound like they came off a Casio keyboard. Yeah. But no, they are real drums that were recorded apparently. Didn't know that back then, but I do now.
It's harder, getting harder and harder to tell as time goes on.
Well, that was the interesting thing about Jamie XX as well. I was listening to that a little bit in this intro track. How he does, you know, electronic beats, but he's trying to make some of those sounds sound organic. I think, you know.
Right. I think he pulls it off really well.
He does. Yeah.
It's got its own kind of vibe, its own kind of distinct sound that sounds organic. Yeah. But there's something layered in there that's electronic. Yeah. And it gives it this really cool kind of dualistic dynamic thing.
Yeah, which is like obviously like he's really into the details. It sounds like he spends a lot of time to like create something that in the end sounds kind of simple, but like that track's just basically like boom, book, you know, but that has got like 4 other sounds layered with it that are all affected in different ways.
Very simple drum beat, but it sounds interesting and textured when you listen to it. Which makes you want to listen to it more. Yeah. I think that's really impressive. Yeah. That he's able to do that. That's one of the cool things about this band.
It's inspiring, yeah, because I think like a lot of people that because everyone's making music on the computer, but not a lot of people spend the time to like work on the sounds, like or make it sound organic. You know, a lot of people like, and it's different, I guess, depends what you're doing. Some people will slap like 808 beats over it and write a beat and then leave it as is. Other people will like do that, but then like go in and layer like different sounds within that and just work on the sounds, you know, because if you got a drum beat or whatever or a groove, cool, but you can really go into detail with making that sound different, you know,
unique,
like, unique kind of thing, which I feel like not a lot of people are doing. The good artists are. I think the artists we're talking about on the show do that stuff. Yeah, like Unknown Mortal Orchestra is someone that comes to mind
that's good. Yeah,
writing music by himself, but really thinking about the sound, the organicness of stuff. Like
that. He's making really great stuff right now. Unknown Mortal Orchestra. Go check him out. Or check out our episode on him.
Yes, do that.
Maybe I'm going to do that right now too, because I am done with the XX.
I'm done.
Over. Like Rooster Groove's out.
Yeah.
Eddie, you got anything else?
No, I think I said everything I wanted to say.
Right on. Yeah, me too. We got an outro track, right?
Nighttime. Okay. It's the only one we haven't played. It's also the track that Jamie XX did to
That's the one.
show. Yeah,
That's the
I can
perfect one to end on.
Yeah, I think we didn't plan it this way, but we're ending up this way, and I think it's a good way.
We're just getting good at this.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you guys for being here. If you guys got any cool facts about the XX, we'd love to know them. Hit us up. You could, hit us up. Just say what's up. If you want to say hi, we want to say hi. We got the email, Jay.
Roots to Grooves at signalradio.com, SIGNL radio.com.
Roots to Grooves is a production of Signal Radio. For more music and independent culture, visit signalradio.com. That's SIGNL radio.com.